SAV 201248 might sound like an IP address, but it is Swedish tank destroyer. The most notable thing about it is that it's a low-tier vehicle that shoots massive rounds with a very small reload. It can fire up to 7 APHE projectiles in less than 10 seconds. Thanks Gaijin for another overpowered premium vehicle, you might say. But it's not so one-sided as it might sound. At first glance, the vehicle might worsen your PTSD of playing against Soviet tanks. It has 120mm cannon, quite big for second-tier vehicle, and it shoots armor-piercing high explosive shells that are well known for their post-penetration damage. Except that this round doesn't move so fast, which causes serious issues since kinetic projectiles penetration depends on its velocity. So despite the caliber, you can expect only average penetration, maximum of 95mm up close, pretty much similar to the rest of the tanks you will play against. Furthermore, you might actually end up in disadvantageous position when shooting long distances, because slow shell's trajectory is more difficult to predict. This is where autoloader steps in to save the day. First stage ammo rack has 6 slots. As long as it has rounds, you will be able to shoot your next projectile in just 1.2 seconds. After it's empty, it will take much longer to reload, but nevertheless it gives you the ability to fire a lot of shells in a small period of time. There are many situations when this can be useful. For example, when you missed your target because can't get the distance right, or maybe you are on the move and the hull wobbles like crazy, or maybe you can't hit that opponent's pixel-sized weak spot, or maybe your hit didn't do enough damage to one-shot opponent, even if that is quite unusual for 23 kg round. The solution to all these issues is to keep firing more rounds at opponents before they have a chance to shoot you back. Which I can promise you is not a very pleasant experience when your armor plates are only 30mm in front and 15 or even less everywhere else. Though I have to admit that armor angles are really good and you will be saved every now and then when opponents' projectiles simply ricochets. When luck is not on your side, any penetration in your crew compartment area will most often lead to one shot, since the vehicle has a small crew of only 3 members and they all sit very close to each other. Additionally, open top leaves the vehicle very vulnerable to opponents' aircraft fire, especially considering that vehicle can't use machine guns to defend itself. Using the main gun against planes is also not an option since its limited horizontal traverse angles of only 15 degrees to each side makes it difficult to attack even ground targets, since you will have to turn the whole vehicle towards opponents before you can even attack them. On a good note, gun's depression of 10 degrees is great and becomes especially useful in combination with frontal armor. While playing hull down, you will not only hide the bigger part of the vehicle behind a hill, but also maximize the chance of ricochets by increasing the angle of your armor even more. Moving around the map is comfortable. The maximum speed is 48 kph, and thanks to good acceleration you should be able to reach it even on average terrain. A good reverse of 18 kph will help you to get out of most dangerous situations by driving backwards, especially if you additionally pop a smoke screen in front of the vehicle. Of course, unless your track or engine gets damaged, which is a death sentence to every tank destroyer with a fixed gun. In arcade, aiming cross will be very helpful to deal with slow shells ballistics, or to find the weak spots in enemies' armor, and APHE round is already one of the best type of rounds in this game mode thanks to its post-penetration damage. Since maps are smaller, I didn't find the mobility to be very useful. When camping, usually you don't even need to move far away from base. And if you get closer to opponents, you might easily end up surrounded, which is very dangerous for vehicles with fixed guns. Though I rushed into opponents in the middle of a map, I'm not the smartest guy, and it ended up to be quite effective despite my expectations. Possibly because there are lots of inexperienced players at lower tiers. For someone who likes to fly planes in tank matches, it is a good idea to start an air event when your first order ammo rack is empty, so while you are dropping bombs, autoloader is being filled with new rounds. In general, autoloader is the main advantage this vehicle has. It will give you an edge in short but very active engagements. Of course, once the first stage ammo rack is empty, it will take a while to refill it, but that can be done during longer periods outside combat, such as repairing or while driving to another position. On the other hand, reloads at low tiers are not very long anyway, so it doesn't feel unreasonably overpowered. Additionally, you have to deal with ballistics and limited horizontal guidance, so it ends up to be quite balanced. I would rate it 5 machine guns that vehicle has but cannot use out of 10. If you are looking for a premium vehicle to quickly skip past the first few tiers of Swedish tech tree and you are bored of usual tanks, this tank destroyer might add some diversity in your grinding routine.